Hello my friends, welcome to Metal Shop Garage. Today we're going to be installing the short shift kit, my 1995 YJ with the AX15 5-speed transmission, and I will do a little mini unboxing of the parts for that in just a minute. As you can see, I got the horn button changed out for a nice Jeep horn button, and I took the opportunity to straighten the steering wheel. I also found that the large nut in the center, that essentially holds the steering wheel to the shaft, was loose and not even finger tight. Nice. Matter of time before that thing worked its way off and the steering wheel fell off in my hand without tools, probably from grabbing the steering wheel when you're climbing in and so on and so forth. So yeah, grab bars. I got the speaker grills changed from the ridiculously worthless. I'm going to take a minute to talk about these open air. I don't even know what you call this. A protector plate. It's not a grill. I mean, quite honestly, I'm pretty opinionated on this. These things are just pieces of shit garbage. They don't protect the speaker at all. Your speaker there's a reason it has a grill, because the speakers are delicate, especially inside of a Jeep, where debris and feet and sharp objects and everything are going to blast holes in your nice expensive speakers. So you see, this one here was broken from the seat making contact with it here in the back. It had this ridiculous spacer too that acted like a standoff that held this grill up out of the way. I mean, these were probably hip, I'm not sure when. Anyway, 90s, late 90s, something like that. Anyway, proper Alpine grills in place there. So nice. All right, so let's do a little unboxing here again. So this is the shifter that I got from Shifters, and what they did was they filled a void in the market from Hurst. Hurst used to make these shifters, and theirs had a nifty billet base. And so what Core did when Hurst stopped producing these is they kind of picked up the mantle. They don't use the billet. I think this is a piece of solid steel. I mean, billet is nice. I mean, really the only benefit to a billet shifter is the weight savings. This is going to be infinitely stronger than the billet piece. And on a Jeep, I mean, maybe for a Formula One car where you're worried about every single ounce, that would make a difference. So anyway, this is a really nice solid chunk of steel. This is a really nice piece. This is the part that's manufactured by Core. They utilize Hurst shifting levers, and arms, whatever you want to call them, and knobs. So this is a pretty nice Hurst shift knob, and it's kind of angled. I don't know if you can see that. It's got a little angle towards the driver there, just a little bit. Nice chrome knob. This is going to look outstanding. And then the pièce de résistance is all the hardware is included. Nice hardware, but I opted for the Hurst T-handle shifter. I've always kind of liked these. I've always kind of admired these, and I'm finally going to get one. And I think this is the perfect vehicle for it. So there's the parts. That's to hold the handle to the shifter base, and I believe that there's some more hardware in here. Yes, they give you this is new hardware. Those are your shift stops, your bump stops, and the new hardware to mount the shifter to the transmission. So first things first, what you do is, this is kind of a nice design here, and I'll show it on the transfer case, is it has a jam nut here so that you can orient your shifter the way you want it, so you can see the 2H, 4H, and 4L. The regular 5-speed is the same way, but you just hit this with a 3/4 inch. It's got a couple of flats on it. You hit this with a 3/4 inch wrench, loosen the jam nut, we'll loosen the shifter, and we'll take the jam nut off, and we're going to do the same thing for the 5-speed arm, and then we're going to remove the boot. So please stand by. All right, so next we need to remove the shifter boot, and it's held in place with a bunch of 3/8 sheet metal screws. There you can see one right there. Mine is, most of them are missing. I think it's being held in place by 2, so it's supposed to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 3/8 inch. I think they're sheet metal screws. Mine has 2. Nice. That's probably why you can just move this aside just a tiny little bit, and you can see the ground traveling, you know, beneath you like Fred Flintstone style, and why I hear so much extra road and transmission noise. Yeah. Hack job incorporated. So stand by. I'm going to remove my 2 3/8 inch screws. All right. And on the YJs, this is a 2-piece boot design, so I believe it should just slip right off. And you see why we had to remove the shift knob and the jam nut, or else we damage the boot here. So yeah, a little rusty, a little crusty, a little kind of falling apart here. Yeah, the shift boot is supposed to be glued to the inside, adhered to the inside of this plate, and mine is just not, and it's just janky and falling apart. So I will take the opportunity to fix that as well. Stand by again. I forgot to mention, put your transmission in neutral, which I forgot to do, but I'm not too late. So emergency brake going on, and we will shift into neutral. There we go. Sorry, you didn't see that at all. So yeah, so we're in neutral. All right, so sorry for not being able to show you this next part. What they're calling this lower boot here is the rubber boot is really tight to the shift knob. It won't slide up past the shift knob. It's this shift knob, you see it's weighted here. It's got this big weight on it, and this is really tight to the shaft underneath it, so it won't. I mean, I suppose you could cut it, but why would you want to? So hopefully I can do a good job of explaining this. Since I can't show it, I already did it. I needed both hands. All right, so you see the slot in that retainer? That's a spring loaded, what do they call that thing? They just call it a spring retainer. They say turn the retainer counterclockwise 1/8 of a turn and remove the entire stick with a boot, okay? So you see that little slot right there. That, what they don't tell you is you need to push down on the spring retainer, turn it counterclockwise, it pops right up. So I'm gonna pull this whole thing out and hopefully I can show you. So anyway, yeah, push down, then lift it up. So there. So the whole thing comes right out, and now I can remove this all as one assembly. There's enough room around the transfer case to weasel this whole thing out. I have this wiring probably for the stereo or something in the way here. So here, let's get this out. Take it over here, show you what I'm talking about. Hopefully this shifter will come through. Anyway, I'm gonna have to shut the camera off here, and my hands are covered in grease now, but you can see this. See that? That spring-loaded retainer. So you push down on it, give it a turn, pops right up. Whole thing moves off as an assembly. All right. So we're gaining on it. We're gaining on it, my friends. All right. So the next steps are, and I'll show you a couple that I missed here. The shifter has 4 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4 in each corner. The transfer case shifter has this plate on top of the bolts like a stud. So you remove these and you'll move the transfer case to the side and take the shifter out. So the entire shifter arm would have come out as an assembly when you take the bolts out. You know, you saw I removed that spring retainer clip and removed the shifter like that. You can do it either way. The boot is completely in the way. after, you know, this is where it pays to read through the entire instructions first, because I don't really see any way feasible to get this boot off without cutting it. And then they tell you, if you read further in the instructions, that you are going to have to cut it. You're going to have to trim it to fit, because the core shifter has its own boot. Now this has to go over that, and you have to cut it anyway. So this step may not have been necessary. You can cut the boot on this lower shift boot. You can go ahead and cut it and remove it out, just remove it out of the way, and then take the whole shifter out as one assembly. This little spring clip deal, that wasn't so hard. We do have to reuse this cup, and they say that this may be difficult, and they say actually to use an assistant and everything to remove the cup. I will show you the steps that Core tells you to remove this cup for reuse. Alright, so I cut the boot, just made a slit in it to get it off, and you can see that this is going to have to be trimmed significantly to fit over this anyway, once the core shifter is mounted into the vehicle. So there you go, just go ahead and cut it. Alright, so here's how Core Industries, Core Shifters, whatever, says to pop this cup off. They say take a 5/8 wrench, put it in the vise, slide the shifter over, leave it hanging, and what they want you to do is they want you to tap here in the center with a punch, dropping the shifter assembly out of the way, and hopefully the punch will catch the cup here. That's what they say to have to do it with a partner. I assume to have somebody else hold on to this. I probably think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and just put a rag over it and give this thing a couple of whacks and see if it falls off. Stand by, let's see how we do. Alright, there you go, Bob's your uncle, no big deal. Their method worked just fine. I just put a rag up over the top of it, tapped it, the weight of the shifter pulled it right out, the rag held this cup in place, and now we have it to install on the new core shifter. Stand by. Woohoo! Alright, so a little dab of grease on here and install it on the new core shifter. So, not sure. Yeah, the grease is holding it in place. Just like that. Well, it's a tight fit. Look, it squished all the grease right around that ball to the bottom. Huh. Cool. Let's go and remove the old factory shifter. Alright, so I get the nuts. They're 1/2 inch, they're a little rusty, so I had to kind of pound the socket on there a little bit on the transfer case, and it won't come off. And again, read the instructions, and it says that you have to remove the bolt on the side of the transfer case just to move this off and out of the way. So I go underneath the Jeep. I'm on a little journey here with me. Thankfully it's a Jeep, so you don't need to worry about a lift or worry about any of that jazz. When I get underneath, I find the offending bolt that is holding the transfer case. Alright, can you see that? Okay, the flashlight is right on the bolt, right there. And I put a wrench on it, I find the right wrench. I think it's, what is it? 9/16, and that bolt is not even finger tight. So I'm going to give you a pause, and hopefully I will be able to just remove that with my hand. Stand by. Alright, so there's the offending bolt right there, the 9/16 bolt, and it did in fact come out by hand. Hilarious. So the transfer case lever was about ready to fall off too. I'm making all kinds of interesting discoveries here while I'm working on the Jeep today. Outstanding. So I believe if we go up around, I took the other bolts out the other side of the shifter. I believe we're finally ready to remove the shifter. Let's see. So with that other bolt removed, yep, there's the transfer case. Slides right out of the way. Oh no, I forgot. I got a couple of nuts on the stud there, on the transfer case lever studs that I got to undo. So hang on once more. All right, so there are the studs removed. There. Obviously we're going to reuse those, and they say in the instructions for the Jeep YJ that we reuse the factory bolts as well. So there are bolts included in the kit, but they say for this this model, the Jeep YJ four-wheel drive, we are going to reuse the did they make it two-wheel drive? We're going to reuse the and there it is, the factory bolts. So there is the stock shifter assembly right there. Look in here and see about the stops. I don't know if that even comes off. I guess it will. Let's slide this off with the one hand here and have a look-see. No. So obviously I'm not going to be messing with anything internal on that. And they say if you have a gasket in place, to reuse your gasket. If you don't have a gasket in place, to use you know, adhesive, RTV silicone gasket maker, which I believe I have. I pretty much guarantee. Oh, no, that's no gasket in there. No gasket. That's just a focus, maybe. That's just steel. That's just a little bit of rusty steel. So it looks pretty obvious at this point. Come on. We're just going to do the reverse and assemble the new core shifter right on top of there. All right, stand by. So we got a little bit of gasket maker adhesive in there, ready to go on. Doesn't really matter. So I figured out that these were not bump stops for the shifter. Those are the studs, and those are the bolts that they want you to use. For whatever reason, they did say to reuse the stock studs in the directions. They might be too long. I don't know. We'll see, because I believe that shifter base appears to be a little bit thinner. Oh, we'll see. All right, so this is going to be a long video. I apologize, but this is going to help some guys out, I'm sure. So the problem I ran into is the core shifter, the base of it, it's so big that I couldn't get the stud here and the nut here started. I put them on a long extension to start them, but the base is so wide that it angled the bolt, so you have to start this stud and this bolt here to the top by hand. Plenty of room here in the back to get those started, but I had to start these with my fingers and then put the socket to them. I did end up using the factory hardware. It was longer, but it bottomed out and tightened up nicely. All right, so stand by. Okay, so where are we? I have the lower boot installed. There are 3 screws, and it's pretty obvious which are different. 1, 2, 3 screws that hold the lower boot in place, whereas when it was installed previously I had none. The rest of the screws, the holes rather, are pass-throughs for the lower boot. My wife and kids went to the store. They're picking me up some more sheet metal screws to match the ones I took out, and I have some adhesive here holding the boot to the metal plate here, so I'll give that time to set up. So while we wait, I believe that I can install the Hurst shifter handle now, because it should pass right through the hole there in the upper boot. It won't focus, but whatever. So I'm going to install shifter handle. It looks like I could go on either side. I could go on either side if I wanted to. I'm not even sure which side it's supposed to be. I guess I will take a gander at the instructions once more, and we will get this bolted up and roll through some gears. All right, stand by. All right, so where we left off was we were about to mount up the shifter handle, and obviously it is serrated on this side and on this side here, so it obviously has to go to the right. The problem I ran into is this handle, this Hurst handle here, was made for, it's the one that Core and Hurst sold for a stock Jeep. All right, mine has a 2-inch body lift, and they did have an alternate shift handle, stick they call it, for a lifted Jeep. But I actually really liked the stock height and where my hand fell on it, so I took the chance and got the regular, if you want to call it, the regular handle here. The problem I ran into is, if you can see, I was hitting my aftermarket console right here. I couldn't, I mean, it could almost didn't go into second gear, fourth gear, and reverse. I mean, it just no go. So unfortunately, I couldn't send it back. Right there, you can see I torqued it, and the star washers left little marks in it, so the guy told me he couldn't sell it as new, blah blah blah. That was instead of a $20 upgrade for the handle that's made for, you know, body lifted Jeeps, I end up spending another $115 for the 4077 handle, which is a little taller, a little more upright, and should work for this application, I hope. We'll see. I also have got some new, I got stainless steel screws, sheet metal screws. I just I painted them with etching primer and just some gloss black Rust-Oleum, because, you know, why not? Little trick there, you can see, I'm sure you guys already know that. You poke some holes in a box, hold your screws in place, and give them a little dusting of paint. I also glued the shift boot back to this metal channel, this metal guide plate underneath it here. So really, all there is left is to bolt this thing together, put the Hurst handle on, and the jam nut, roll through the gears, and see how we do. So stand by. Alright, so it's in. What a difference having the right handle makes. I mean, holy cow. I love the T handle, and it really falls, I mean, it falls right where it's supposed to, you know, with a 2-inch body lifted Jeep. And let me tell you what, the shifting is night and day from that squishy, nebulous thing that's just terrible. It just feels, the stock shifter is just, it's really it's really no good. I mean, it's not positive. It's just, this is click click. I mean, it feels great. You just have to take my word for it. It's fantastic. Love the T handle, and it falls again, so your arm's on the armrest, falls right in your hand. Just what you want. Doesn't hit the aftermarket console. So I can't recommend Core shifters enough. This is just a fantastic piece. It really was easy, and if I'd do your research. Sit in the Jeep, take some measurements, call Chris Reinhardt at Core Shifters and talk to him. He has all kinds of solutions, different sticks, you know, which is the handle. He has extensions. There's just so many different options. You can get it right for you. But look at that. That looks fantastic, and I couldn't be happier with it. I got all the sheet metal screws in the bottom, so it fit a lot nicer. Just got to button up a couple of things here. So yeah, thanks for sticking with me. I know this was a really long video. I appreciate all your support. I'm over 250 subscribers. I have over 70,000 views now on all my videos, and I want you to know how much I appreciate you guys. I am answering every single question. I don't get so many questions that I can't answer, you know, every comment, every question that I get, and I'm still committed to my subscribers and to all my viewers to provide you with, you know, at least one, you know, good content, something interesting that you like to watch a video once a week. So please consider subscribing if you're new. Give me a share, give me a thumbs up, and as always, my friends, take care. Bye.